Good morning, guys. Welcome to Wednesday's training. Here with me, I'm Marshall Burtcher, and I help codependency. I help specifically narcissistic abuse survivors that developed codependency heal their trauma bonds so that they can, one, live who they are, know, love, and live who they are, and create happy relationships and be happy again in their world. This morning, we're going to be talking about the right to feel as you do. As you can be reclaiming ourselves in this arena. So before we get to this, I need to share this out to the community. So if you're looking for a safe haven here on the internet where your experience is understood and valued and respected, where you are not alone, where you can see that you're not crazy, that there are other people that have gone through or going through or have moved on from what you've been through, so you can see that there is hope for a happier, healthier life. The community is where you will find that. You can find the link above on Facebook, below on YouTube. If you're on Instagram, go to my bio and click the link there. You'll find access to it there. Let's see. And if you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and hit the little bell so that you can see when I'm online. I'm going to get that shared out here real quick. Oh, gotta click the button thingy. Let me know how everyone's doing in the comments with today. Today is an interesting, emotional day, and it's actually something I wasn't going to do a live today. I was going to take it easy, but something just got me. And it's this thing, the right to feel as you do. Who here feels or has felt in their past that they should only feel certain things? That they should only have certain emotions, that there are good emotions, bad emotions, that there are the right feelings and the wrong feelings, the things you should feel, the things you shouldn't feel. Let me know in the comments if you have been a part of that experience, because I certainly have. I was perusing the internet this morning and ran across some posts in various groups I'm a part of, and they were talking about men and crying, and I'm like, wow, crying's feminine? What? And it also started to bring into this awareness, because I've been doing some work inside myself, specifically around attachment injury with my mother. Because for a long time, I thought a lot of the pain and sadness that I have lived with has been a response or an effect of her death when I was a child. And, well, come to my awareness, it's where another validation that analysis isn't always the right path to truly understanding where we're coming from. I discovered it really didn't have to do with that. It had to do with this pattern in the relationship where I was replaced. So there was this cycle in the relationship where I was the firstborn, and then when the next child showed up, I was displaced. The attention went to that child, and then when that next child was born, the attention went to that one, and so then two of us have been displaced, so on and so forth. And this shaped how I perceive attachment, how I perceive safety, how I perceive myself, especially perceived being me. Because when you're just kind of pushed to the wayside, you enter the realm of neglect. And so you have to figure things out yourself. You have to solve problems that a child should have a parent guiding them in. You have to confront things that a parent ought to be available to help you in and cognizant of. And that was not happening. I had to solve things that were not mine. And then she passed away, and so now I have to deal with all of it because my father is not really available. He's off doing whatever he was doing. And this led to making choices and doing things that created big problems for me, because children shouldn't be making adult decisions. And that conditioned me to really fear mistakes. It taught me to take on responsibilities that were not mine, that it shouldn't have been mine. And it forced me into a position of maturity that was beyond my years. It was not an appropriate thing. And in this process of coming into contact with these emotions, into this awareness, the old little gremlin that says you shouldn't feel that. These are selfish feelings started to crop up. I'm like, ooh, that's an interesting program. And this comes from the conditioning, the experience of being told that you have good feelings and bad feelings. You have right feelings and wrong feelings. And that feelings harm other people. That still blows my mind. It's total bullshit, to be honest. But it that's what I got, or at least that's what I received in my childhood and teen years, is that your feelings are bad. They harm people. Huh? No. You have the right to feel as you do. And mature, healthy people are going to be completely fine with what you feel. They aren't going to feel or experience harm from your emotions, because harm is a result of action that violates the well-being or survival of another human being. Disappointing somebody doesn't harm them. Upsetting them is not harm. Doing something they don't like is not harm. Now, as long as you're not doing something to them they don't like, then you're not in the world of hurt and lapsing, persist in that, move into the world of harm. So it's this idea that there's a full 100% legitimacy behind what you feel is important, because in the somatic spectrum of healing, in the felt sense physical experience, that's the access to the programming that creates all this rumination in the brain and all that. It's through the language of emotion that we get in contact back with the parts of ourselves that went through the nightmare that they've been enduring and that they've been stuck in within us. So like in my current phase of my journey in healing the attachment injury that I've undergone, I have been practicing a lot of allowance to those emotions, a lot of permission to those feelings. It's like, yeah, you get to be angry, you get to be confused, because that was never your position to figure it out. You were a child. To legitimize one's innocence and context. A lot of us that deal with codependency are dealing also with the neglect of being a child. We didn't get to be an innocent child to go out and discover who we are and make sense of the world and have a safe haven to come home and a secure base to relate to in the world. No, we had to regulate the secure base because it wasn't secure. It's scary. The parent is scary and unreliable, and the world is scary and unreliable, and now we're trying to juggle really big balls here that just really sapped us, put us into that survival state. And so codependency became part of how we made it through that. But coming out of codependency, coming out of these cycles, it really requires us to reclaim the right to feel as we do, to occupy space, in whatever space that happens to be. That's part of your autonomy, because within you, not even within you, it is a part of you. It's part of your legitimacy. It's part of your presence. It's part of the occupation of existence. You as a human being matter. Your feelings matter. Your experience matters. The context that you were in matters. The cost, the impact of it matters. There isn't this, oh, but there's their side and then there's your side of the story. No. I don't believe in sides of stories, because there isn't any. There's what happened to you, what you said, what you did. There's what happened to them and what they said and what they did. There's the ownership of those things, and then the attempt to either bridge and understand it and empathize, or divide and separate. You really don't get a whole lot, or you can find a temporary stalemate, but typically they're still going to clash. And this comes from the premise that we are inherently valid and legitimate and valued and valuable. See, if I have the right to feel as I do, then these contorted feelings, this complex mess of emotion that I am wrestling with, it exists because of my journey, because of the experience. It's not there because there's something wrong with me. Oh, I have these anxious feelings. I'm just weak. I'm not confident. There's something really wrong with me. That's how I used to interpret these emotions, that there was Marshalls and I'm just a weak man. I'm not even a man. I'm a nobody. I'm a beta, blah, blah, blah. No. It's because I went through hell. Not deliberately. I don't have any reason to suspect that my mother was doing this deliberately. That's literally how she was raised. She's just regurgitating what she knew. So I have this contextual awareness about her from my adult self. And one day, 9-year-old self, 10-year-old self, 5, 4, 3, 2-year-old self, they may be open to understanding that context. But there's an important order I approach this in. And that is, I respect the impact first. And if the intent... If the causation becomes an important factor down the road, cool. But intent first, impact first. What is the experience for me? What has happened to me? Because I'm innocent. There's power dynamic in parent-child relationships that alter things. I was just the child. I wasn't supposed to know these things. Nobody's born knowing all these things. That's one of those fun fictions from that generation. You should know better. Bullshit. No. We know what we know. And we don't know what we don't know. And as children, it's the parent's job and parent's responsibility to help the child discover and understand these things. It is not the child's responsibility. So, the right to feel as you do is the right to occupy the space that comes up within you. You don't have to justify it to anybody. You're an adult. You're an autonomous being. Even if you were a child, you're an autonomous being. So it's not even about maturity. It's about autonomy. It's about the fact that, you have intrinsic or innate inherent value. I need to learn how to respect that. I need to learn how to allow you to have space to access and express and share that. This is all about emotion. It's not about behavior, okay? A lot of times people combine the two, and they don't really, no. When we separate behavior from emotion, then we're able to identify skill level and work with that. And when we're able to do this separation, we're able to empathize and care for the unmet need or violated boundary that the other person might be experiencing in those feelings. This allows us to have connection plus accountability and growth, because accountability and growth comes in with the behavior. You are responsible for what you feel, but what you feel isn't intrinsically harmful and it's not harming anybody. It's that if you're blaming somebody for how you feel, you're going to need to take ownership of that. You got to return that home. So I feel the way I do in response to the choices and behaviors, for instance, my mother did. Cool. She's responsible for the behaviors. I'm responsible for the feeling. I own it because it's in me. And then if she doesn't respond to that with empathy, then I know that there is a big breach. We're not going to bridge this. I'm going to have to make other decisions. I would suspect if she were alive, she absolutely would. Because that was, in the short time I knew her, that's what she would do. She owned it. So I build this premise on that. My friends, we have the right to occupy our space and whatever shows up, whenever it shows up. You're not a burden. Your feelings aren't a burden. Your feelings are not harmful. They're not a problem that needs to be solved. They are the somatic story of what you've gone through. Like in movies, we have a soundtrack, right? Emotions that we experience in response to something are the soundtrack of that experience. They're part of what we've been through. They're telling us a story. So today I invite you to respect what shows up in you. Treat it with honor, with regard, with respect. Or you could do the classic acronym of value, importance, and priority. VIP. But if we give our emotions the right to exist, the right to be acknowledged by us, to understand what they're trying to convey to us, we're going to be more connected, more alive within who we truly be and who we're truly becoming. We're way outside the codependent spectrum at that point. We're very much in our own self-advocacy. We're within our you-centered experience, which is important. You-aligned choices allow you to make choices that benefit your well-being and promote your happiness and your long-term happiness, well-being, happiness, joy, being you, all these words, right? So I invite you to do that. Allow your journey to guide you. Because I'll tell you, exiting codependency is a journey of grief. It's a journey of reclamation, returning to us our power, our safety, our value, our identity, our autonomy. It's de-enmeshing ourselves from them. It's learning what love really is, especially if we're dealing with trauma bonding and this massive euphoria, distress, despair cycle that we go through. It's coming to understand that relationships are built on consent, they're built on respect, they're built on a intrinsic boundary and respect of autonomy, a regard for the individual, both or how many are involved in the relationship. Everybody's regarding each other as individuals that matter, and that any kind of benefit in the relationship is treated with respect and taken from a space of consent rather than entitlement. That power is set aside, it's respected, but it isn't utilized to control the relationship. Instead, cooperation and understanding are. That's a lot, isn't it? So it all starts with the right to feel as you do. You don't have to justify your existence. You don't have to justify your feelings to anybody. People who say you do are people who are going to be toxic for your well-being because they don't live in the spectrum of consent and respect or regard for autonomy. They live in the benefits-centered world of like, hey, man, I've got power and you got to submit. That is an object-oriented relationship, and that is not going to work well. Connection-centered relating is about the regard for the well-being of everyone involved. So, and that starts and is built on this foundation of the right to feel as you do. Because you're an autonomous being. So own it. Allow yourself to lean into it. It's like, yeah, I feel that. That's the way it is for me right now. Okay. Good. Let's hold space with it. Let's bring it respect and regard and allow yourself to discover what comes next. Because it's a flow. It's always a flow. Emotions just don't stay. They want to move. And we can allow them to move by looking for what else comes into our awareness once we've become aware of something. Okay? Thank you, my friends, for being here. Thank you for your support. Remember, ultimately, that you're worth knowing, loving, and keeping. And I will see you in our next training video. Okay. Bye-bye, guys.